Thank you so much for joining me today. I am the Black Renegade Rising. I am simply a maven looking for my haven on the continent. Snacks and food in general, it tends to be underrated, especially when traveling. A lot of times people get hung up on the messenger. Is the messenger overweight? Is the messenger unkept looking, or whatever it is, or does the messenger not look like who you want it to? The point is, what I need you to get, and I need you to hear me, is the message about snacks. Snacks are important because they do a lot of different things for you, and especially if you're traveling with kids, and especially if you're traveling to the continent. Like I mentioned before, I focus on travel to the continent. And for a lot of people, especially if you are new to traveling on the continent or to, for example, a lot of third world, second world nations, certain products, certain conveniences are not available, period. A lot of the things that you take for granted here are simply not available. So when you're traveling, it's best to go ahead and consider, like I mentioned before, the snacks and different food provisions that you may want to take with you. In 2019, when I took my child with me to China, I did take his milk bus. I took containers of milk because he needed at that point 16 ounces of milk a day at least, per his pediatrician. And so what I did was I proportioned enough milk, and that actually created a scenario where when it was time to come home with souvenirs, we had plenty of space to bring other items back, because the milk that was taking up a lot of our actual luggage was no longer there. It was being used as we traveled. Some thoughtful snacks that we tend to take with us tend to be things like nabs, what we call them in the South, or peanut butter crackers, or cheese and peanut butter crackers, things that tend to give you a little bit of energy without being the worst item. I try to stay away from sickly sweet items, but again, hey, it's up to you. Another thing that we like to carry are fruit cups. Yes, those little fruit cups that tend to be 4-ounce little fruit cups that are filled with all the little canned fruit. They tend to be great because not only do they provide substance, but those fruit cups also usually have a little bit of juice. Some of the other items that we tend to take, like I mentioned, are fresh fruit if we can. But since I was 19 and my first trip to Mexico for summer study abroad, that was when I learned the power of snacks. It was actually something that was mentioned in our orientation before we left, and luckily I did bring a few snacks, and they were like granola bars, and again, this was well before 9/11, and some other little things. And I remember that that first day we went roughly 12 hours without eating. We got off the plane early that morning in Mexico City. We had to take our bus to the city in which we were staying. We had to go into an orientation at the school. Long story short, then they paired us off with our families that we were going to. And by the time that was all done, it was roughly 10 to 12 hours since most of us had eaten. And I'm not saying everybody needs 3 meals a day. By no means am I saying that. So again, don't shoot the messenger. It's simply just stating that the importance of food and sustenance and having snacks cannot be underscored, and especially when traveling with the child. So this is definitely something solo travelers may want to take into consideration, as well as individuals that are traveling or families that are traveling with small children or even teenagers. They can get grumpy too. Hangry is not a good look on most of us. Thank you so much for joining me. I am the Black Renegade Rising. I am simply a maven looking for my haven on the continent. Thank you again so much for joining me, risers, and do stay tuned.